What's going on, my friends? I know this video is getting out just a little bit late. I do apologize about that. I've been a little bit under the weather. I don't know if you can hear it in my voice. I think I sound kind of crappy. I even went to the doctor today and got a shot right in the ass. But I'm still here. I'm feeling a little bit better and we need to make some videos. So today we are going to be talking about fragrances from the house of Hugo Boss. I've grown to really like Hugo Boss, and I actually have 7 of these fragrances in my collection as we speak. Now, there are some bangers, admittedly, that Hugo Boss has that I don't actually own. I own 3 Hugo Boss bottled fragrances and 4 from the Hugo Boss The Scent line. I really enjoy all of these, and we're going to go over them. So if you're interested in Hugo Boss fragrances, pay attention because it's going to be really good. Let's go. So first up, we're going to go through the 3 fragrances from the Hugo Boss bottled line that I have. Like I said, I don't have the original Hugo Boss bottled, which is a very, very good fragrance in and of itself. I don't know why I've never pulled the trigger on it. I think I've just seen these and kind of impulse buy them, you know what I'm saying? But I'm glad I did. I really enjoy these. So I'm going to go from my least favorite fragrance to my favorite fragrance from this line. And the first one is going to be Hugo Boss Bottled Night. This is not a bad fragrance. This is kind of their equivalent of a blue fragrance, I guess could say, but it is a little bit limited because the scent profile only makes it really useful in the fall or in the springtime. Really hot weather, it's not the best. Really cold weather, it's not the best once again. But here are the notes you're going to be looking at here in Hugo Boss Bottled Night. The top notes are lavender and birch. And then as it dies off, you're going to get some violet, some woody notes, and musk, okay? The smell is, in my opinion, is a little bit synthetic, and that's the reason that I've left this as my least favorite fragrance of this line. But it's not a bad synthetic. You know, I think synthetic smells can almost be like their own notes in fragrances. They can add to the charm, if you will, of a fragrance. It's kind of like Nautica Voyage. There's a synthetic smell to Nautica Voyage, but I still enjoy it. But this one gets about 6 hours, 5 to 6 hours of longevity. I get, I would say about $40, $45 on one of these bottles. This is not an expensive bottle, nor are any of these really, okay? So Hugo Boss Bottled Night, if you want a good spring scent or something when the heat of summer is kind of dying off into winter, that's going to be a really, really good time to wear this fragrance. Next up, we have Hugo Boss Bottled Oud, a really good wintertime fragrance. This is one that some people really, really like or some people really, really dislike. I myself, I really like this one. If you've never been into an oud fragrance before and never gotten into oud scents, this is a really good one to start with because, once again, not too terribly expensive, and it does have some notes in here that are quite enjoyable. So the top notes, you're going to have some sweet things like apple and some citrus, and then as it dies off, that's when you get some lavender, that's when you get some oud, that's when you get some woody notes like sandalwood as well. So it's kind of that sweet top note that a lot of people don't really appreciate. But I think this is really good. Only about $60, $55, $60, and it lasts. It actually lasts. I just wasted a spray on that one. I get about 7 hours off of this one, and this is kind of like a good refined gentleman's fragrance. You wear this when you're a little more dressed up, going out for a dinner that's not Chili's or Applebee's or something like that. Go to a steakhouse, go to a fancy Italian place, you're wearing a leather jacket, or you're looking a little more suave, if you will. This is a really, really good one to complement that attire. Fall and winter time, 6 to 8 hours of longevity, guys. This one, I think this is a really good one to sample. But is it blind buy worthy? That's going to be up to you. I blind bought this one and I wasn't disappointed, and I've very rarely been disappointed in many of the fragrances that I've blind bought. But because there are some people that dislike the sweet top notes as they sometimes do clash in their opinion, in some people's opinion. Sweet notes sometimes clash with oud and woody notes. It may not be for you. So do buy this with caution, but it can pay off if you're risky like me. And then finally, you've got the Hugo Boss bottled fragrance that is going to be a summertime banger. And this is my favorite from the Hugo Boss bottled line, at least the one that I own right now. This is Hugo Boss Bottled Unlimited. Great and vibrant. Oh, I love this one a lot. This is really, really good with some melon and pineapple on top. We've got some woody and some green notes on the bottom, but the stars are going to be citrus in here, and this is definitely a daytime fragrance, definitely a summertime fragrance. It does lack a little bit in its longevity, but it's not a bad thing. 5 hours, 5.5 hours tops, but it's also going to be reflected, that longevity is also going to be reflected in the low price point, which is about $40 to $45. That's not expensive. So when you pay $45, just understand that you're probably going to get what you pay for in terms of performance. But overall, man, this is really good. I've gotten a lot of compliments with this one, and there are some ladies that have smelled me in a job that I used to be at where I would go into the office. Now I work from home, but when I smelled this, I had a friend of mine, Miss Megan, for example. She had smelled this on me and thought it smelled really nice, and she wears this, or she thought she could wear this. She didn't buy this for herself, but she thought she could wear this, and she has this on her buy list right now. So Hugo Boss Bottled Unlimited. I think it's a little bit more masculine, but ladies, if you want to, you can definitely pull this one off as well. So those are my fragrances from the Boss Bottled line. Next up, we're gonna go through the fragrances from the scent line of Hugo Boss, and I really enjoy this line when it comes to designer fragrances. They all share one or two of the same notes throughout all of these fragrances, particularly the note of maninka, which is an African fruit that's been reported to taste and smell like strawberries and passion fruit dipped in chocolate. So you've got kind of that sweet and gourmand type of feel to that note. But all of these fragrances do share that note in common. And the first one we're going to go through is going to be Hugo Boss The Scent, the original. Now, as before, I am listing these fragrances from my least favorite at the beginning to my favorite at the end. And this one, I'll be honest, is just so-so to me. And that's because the notes in here, they don't seem to make sense to me. There's ginger, mandarin orange, and bergamot at the top, but in the mid, you've got the maninka, you've got lavender, some woody notes, and leather. So you've got, you think of leather and woody notes as being, kind of rugged and cold weather oriented, but you've got the ginger, mandarin orange, and bergamot, and the maninka. All of those things can be sweet and very citrusy. They just don't seem to work for me. Some people, though, they swear by this. So if you see this at the store, it's worth sampling for sure. If you shop online, though, you're going to find it for about $55, maybe $60. I get 6 hours off of my skin with this, but I don't wear it all that often, okay? This is not one that I reach for very much. But it is something to keep in mind if you are looking to get into this line of fragrances, okay? Hugo Boss The Scent, the OG. Next up is a fragrance that I just recently purchased, and this is Hugo Boss The Scent Le Parfum, one of their more recent releases. And I was very impressed with this because the maninka is actually moved to the top note, and down near the mid note, you're gonna have an addition of iris. So I love iris, and then as it dries off, you get some woodiness and some leather once again in the base notes. This one's gonna be, it can be used in the springtime because of that iris and that maninka being at the top, but I think it's more suited for fall and for winter, as the woody notes and the leather mixed together give it like a rugged type of leather feel. It's not a clean leather like you would find in something like Tom Ford's ombre leather. This is a very dirty, woody leather, okay? But I got 6 hours off of my skin on this one as well. With this being a more recent release, it's gonna be a little bit harder to find this one discounted, but keep your eyes open, okay? Keep your eyes open. Fragrantica has this one listed very highly. It's about like a 4.15 out of 5 rating. So That's a pretty good score when it comes to Fragrantica. So Hugo Boss the Scent Le Parfum, okay? Then third on our list, we have Hugo Boss the Scent Absolute. This one is a very simple fragrance, but one that is very sweet and very pleasant. Ginger is the top note, Maninka is the mid note, and vetiver is the bottom note. I would compare this to something like Azzaro the Most Wanted Le Parfum. It's got more of that romantic, get out and have a good night type of vibe. And once again, this one is going to be more expensive, probably in the $80 range. But I'll waste a couple sprays on this one. I really ended up liking this quite a lot. This is my second favorite of the Hugo Boss the Scent line, okay? Definitely worth your time. Cold weather oriented yet again, okay? But the performance is there. The price point is there pretty well as well, okay? And then last up, my favorite fragrance from the Hugo Boss the Scent line right now is Hugo Boss the Scent Intense. My friends, this one is awesome. So if you are a guy that wants to have a little bit of an edgy feel, but still be approachable in the way you smell, this is going to be absolutely perfect for you because it's got that Maninka, as I told you in the fragrance notes, but it's also got leather and vanilla. That leather and vanilla combination is absolutely stunning in this fragrance. So teenagers, young adults, right here, this is an absolutely wonderful one for you to get into. Now, when you stack it up against some of the ones like Hugo Boss the Private Accord, that's one that I don't have as of yet, but I'm looking to get my hands on. That one's going to be a little bit more sensual, if you will, okay? A little bit more date night oriented. This one, still a night out. This is still going to be fall, winter time related as well. But Hugo Boss the Scent Intense is absolutely my favorite from my collection when it comes to the Hugo Boss line. So you need to take a look at it and really consider buying it. You guys, I'm telling you what, Hugo Boss is a really, really good house of fragrances to get into. I've been impressed by almost all of these. You know, Hugo Boss Bottled Night, not my favorite, a little too synthetic, but I'm glad I have it. Hugo Boss the Scent, it's probably my least favorite of the entire bunch, but it really, it's earned my respect because it was based on that scent profile that all of the other flankers have been made. So I really enjoy the art that was behind these different fragrances. So I really strongly suggest you go and check out a lot of these because I guarantee you will be pleasantly surprised. But I'm so glad you guys were able to join me today. Be sure to like and subscribe and just keep sharing. Tell everybody about RAFscents here on YouTube. I love you all very, very much and I'll see you next time.